Okay, this is going to be a segregated show, Ray. Ray said, okay, that's fine with me. You fine with it? Yeah, I'm fine. But I want the black folks down here with me, close to me. You can put them white ones up there in the balcony. And the promoter was like, I'll sue you. And Ray said, go ahead. Everybody else doing it, standing in line with the rest of my baby mammies. Hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and tip your favorite narrator via Cash App at $NAROB on YouTube. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee, you babies, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue reading Brother Ray. Okay. Those of you who are paying members, I implore you, please go to the community wall and or the Patreon so that we can figure out what we're going to do next. Look, y'all, the babies are right here. You know, this is Ro. Hey, baby. Lulu right here. So if you hear some snoring, it's because they just right here annoying me. I saw that if I gave up heroin, it was going to have to be a deal I made with myself. No one else could be involved. No promises, no outs, no fancy footwork. I might bullshit others, but I couldn't bullshit Ray. I decided to find a hospital, go there, and kick the shiz. Yeah, right. Yeah, like you just got up one day and was like, yeah, I'm sick of getting high. Nah. You knew you didn't want to go to jail. So let me convince the judge that I'm going to kick the smacker. The first day wasn't bad. I ate a little, I slept. I waited, but by the 20th hour of that day, the shiz started coming up. I vomited and vomited and vomited till there was nothing left to vomit. And then I vomited some more. I was heaving a poison, the poison which was heroin, the poison my body was now naturally rejecting. And it was bitter, bitter as gall. You can't imagine how bitter can be. I was nauseated for hours. My body stunk. My sweat stunk. Everything about me stunk. The physical addiction is something you can put behind you in 96 hours. But the psychological addiction is the real crusher. That's the bitch. I had already dealt with that though. I had promised myself I would kick, and in fact, my mind actually worked with my body through those first days. I kept my brain focused on the future, when this bad spell would be over, when I'd be able to move past the pain and sickness. That was it. By the third day, I slowly started eating again. Anyway, just like in the movie, they did ask him, did he want drugs to help him? You know, because a lot of addicts, they need help to wean themselves off. I applaud him for saying no, because you could get addicted to that Suboxone. Let me tell you the problem with Suboxone and all them other drugs. You get addicted to the Suboxone and still creep your ass around the corner to the jungle to get some dope or Fifi, okay? That damn Fifi is something terrible. Sitting around doing nothing was very hard on my nerves. And so my stay in St. Francis, that's the rehab place, wasn't easy. B came to visit me to help me pass the time. I learned to play chess while I was there, and at night I passed the time drinking tea and playing cards with the nurses. My lawyers visited me once or twice to discuss the upcoming hearing in Boston when I'd be sentenced. At one point, they indicated that if I cooperated with the judge, I might have an easier time. I knew what they meant. They thought I should name a pusher or two. We tell the court that these pushers were preying on the minds of the young, getting kids hooked on heroin. We'd look good by exposing these cats. Bullshit. I refuse to do anything of the kind. I've always had to seek out the pushers. They never came looking for me. No one ever made me spend my money on dope. I dug it, and I did it. If the judge wanted to snatch 15 or 20 years out of my life because I wouldn't tell him who was supplying me, well, that would be blackmail. I wasn't going to insult no judge that way, and no judge was going to insult me. So I told the lawyers to forget the idea. We take our chances. I'd already done everything I could to help myself. Looking back, I can't say that kicking was a nightmare or the low point in my life. For a few days, I was sick. That's as far as I go. I'm not saying other people don't have fits with the problem. I'm sure they do. I was a junkie for 17 years, but maybe my habit wasn't as severe as other people's. $20 a day in the early 50s or the late 50s and 60s. He is out of his fucking mind. I was a junkie for 17 years, but maybe my habit wasn't as severe as other people's. Can't tell you. I can only speak for myself and describe my own condition. Personally, it was harder for me to give up cigarettes. I had plenty of time to anticipate what might happen, so I was ready. I wasn't preoccupied with the idea of prison. Niggas, you know ain't no bitches in prison. I know he could probably get it from B, but you know us women, once you done shitted on us, we don't want to give you no. I wasn't preoccupied with the idea of prison. I didn't want to go, and yet I was prepared to without a whimper or a sob on this very day. So I waited. I had done everything I could short of pointing the finger at people I couldn't blame for my predicament. The judge had the power to send me to Lexington for a year or two, or he could confine me to a hospital, or even worse, some filthy jail. But I was lucky. Jesus, I was lucky. God's little angels were looking over me and singing sweet spirituals into the judge's ear. He postponed my sentencing for another year. That meant I'd have to return to court in 12 months, but that was okay with me. Meanwhile, I was a free man. Junkies can get down on themselves so hard they never get up. They start seeing themselves as dogs, and then they're through. They can't talk to nobody. The cops want to throw them in jail. Their parents think they stink. Their friends don't give a F about them. They're alone and abandoned. To help an addict, you have to tell his friends or family not to shower down on the poor cat. I don't know about that. Because motherfuckers, you just let them keep coming in your house, stealing your valuables. You want me to feel bad that you feel bad for fucking your life up. No, I'm sick of you. The cops want to throw them in jail. Their parents think they stink. Their friends don't give a F about them. They're alone and abandoned. To help an addict, you have to tell his family or friends not to shower down on the poor cat. The people around the junkie need to learn how to respond to the problem. All that shit say coddling. I ain't never been coddled. Never. I could think one time in my life as an adult, and I was in my early 20s, that I have been coddled. There's some other times. where I wasn't the best worker. And I found out that people were helping me to do my job, and then I got put somewhere else and I became the best worker. Like it was a reality check. Bitch, you need to be better. And I got that reality check and I was better. He gave me a 5-year probated sentence. Once again, that meant I was free to travel and gig as I wished. I walked out of the courtroom just as I had walked in. In the year I was off, I hadn't stopped recording. I just didn't gig. And when I returned, my first jobs were successful. The crowds were as large as I had ever seen them. Just about now, I had another slice of good fortune. One of the tunes I did during my rest year crying time took off and became very big. And around this time, I also sang with some of the best Raelettes I've ever had. Mary Clayton, Clyde King, Alexandra Brown, and Gwen Berry. There was a lot of black music in the last half of the 60s that I could relate to. More blacks sang the way they really were, instead of doing the kind of material associated with Nat Cole and later Johnny Mathis. Yes, it's over, call it a day. Sorry that it had to end this way. No reason to pretend we knew it had to end someday this way. I liked many of the so-called soul singers. David Ruffin with The Temptations, Otis Redding, Little Milton, and Sam and Dave. Some people told me that I'd invented the sound they called soul, but I can't take any credit. Soul is just the way black folks sing when they leave themselves alone. One musician towered above the rest. That was Aretha. She's terrible, man. I'd been following her ever since she was 14 or 15, singing in her daddy's church. And she always sang from her inners. She's my one and only sister. In many ways, she got her father's feeling and passion. When C.L. Franklin, one of the last great preachers, delivers a sermon, he builds his case so beautifully you can't help but see the light. Same when Aretha sings, she's all afire. I loved her gospel singing. I loved her when she was on Columbia, and I loved her when she started singing for Atlantic and my old friends, Amit, Jerry, and Tommy. Some of my favorite things are the Coke commercials Aretha and I sang together. They won some awards and even made the top 10 charts on a couple of radio stations. If I took all the girl singers that are around and listened to them night and day, I still wouldn't be happy unless I snuck in a little Aretha. By the time the others caught up with her, she was already a mile or two ahead. Gladys Knight has a wonderful feeling. Barbra Streisand is tremendous. Younger chicks like Shaka Khan are nothing to sneeze at. But take Brother Ray's word for it, Aretha's still boss. Well, he never lied about that one. Meanwhile, I saw the country going a little nuts. And I got to say that when everyone started yelling and screaming about the Vietnam War in 1967 and 1968, I was as confused as the next cat. I never did understand that war. I don't know why you keep calling it a war. I done told you that wasn't a war. America never admits defeat. It was a conflict, honey. If it's a conflict, it can't be won or lost. because it was a conflict. I told you before, I refused segregated gigs after the incident in Augusta. I lost that case, but I felt like I won the war. At least my war. When I could control the situation like my own concert, I sure as hell wasn't going to allow a promoter to insult me. Meaning, look, if we can't do this concert the way I want it done, because remember earlier, the concert promoter was like, okay, this is going to be segregated. This is going to be a segregated show, Ray. Ray said, okay, that's fine with me. You fine with it? Yeah, I'm fine. But I want the black folks down here with me, close to me. You can put them white ones up there in the balcony. And the promoter was like, I'll sue you. And Ray said, go ahead. Fuck, everybody else doing it, stand in line with the rest of my baby mammies. Ray Charles reminds me a lot of T.I. because that motherfucker be pontificating, okay? And just Libras as a whole, we're very righteous, you know? But so much so that we can come off a bit arrogant. You see what I'm saying? And Ray Charles is very righteous, and so is Clifton Harris, very much righteous. You know, he is full of shit sometimes. But he speaks well, or well enough, and he knows how to convince you charismatically that he knows what he's talking about. And I'm not saying he don't. I'm just saying he just has the capability of making things that are totally off kilter sound normal. So now he's traveling abroad, right? And he's figuring out that the world loves him, okay? Everybody loves the Ray Charles. I've met many of my early goals. I've played Carnegie Hall. I've got a big band. I've won some Grammys, though I forgot when and for what. But I never dreamed when I started out that I'd become known in 2/3 of the world. If you had told me in 1952 that one day I'd be flying to Singapore and Sydney for gigs, I'd have said, baby, I may be blind, but I ain't dumb. I'll be lucky to keep working the chitlin circuit. B and I had some good years together.